Alright, this is the start of a test. I've been using the Lucas Extreme Duty bore solvent to clean bores on some of my rifles for a little bit of time now. But I haven't used it in the ultrasonic yet. So this is the first test. I got the ultrasonic turned on. Normally I do 140 degrees for 60 minutes with a bolt carrier group, and I typically take them apart. So I've turned the time down to 30 minutes. It's going to hit 140. I've put a brand new bottle of Lucas Extreme Duty bore solvent in the cleaner. Let it heat up, and what I'm going to put in for the first test is the parts from an AR-22. This is actually my kid's AR-22. They've got a CMC trigger. I pulled the safety and the bolt carrier group complete. Now normally I take the complete carrier apart and I deal with that and put the parts in for the ultrasonic cleaner. This has got about 1,200 rounds on it with no cleaning, just been running on the Lucas Extreme Duty oil. So anyway, we'll film segments of this, and in a couple months when we're all done and everything's been put together, we'll figure out how it's actually worked. So we're set for 30 minutes, and we're going to hit 140 degrees here in a minute, and we'll come back when we pull it out. I want to show you one thing real quick. We're actually at about 150 degrees. You can see that it's got some bubbles in it, and there's a little bit of moisture that's condensed on the top, and you can actually see a little bit of steam coming off. Now, this is a solvent. Don't do this at home. I've already tested this to make sure that it was not in fact flammable. But I've got a lighter. This is a torch lighter, 2,500 degree torch lighter, and I'm holding it right over 155, 154 degree, and nothing. This is condensation. I don't know if you can see that it's wet. This is condensation, and it will not burn off. I cannot actually get it to ignite. That's pretty impressive. Alright folks, we're back. We've got about 45 seconds left, just so nobody thinks I can't read. The ultrasonic directions do say to field strip the firearm, remove grips and stocks, add solution to ultrasonic cleaner, and clean for 10 to 20 minutes. As I said before, I'm going 30. I left the bolt carrier group complete. I don't know if you can see the temperature, but we were at 140 degrees when we started off with a heater on. Pretty much once I turned the heat or the ultrasonic on, it self-heated to about 179, 180 degrees. So we'll let it go ahead and finish up here in a second. We'll pull it out. So we're at 30 minutes total. So we do have some, we do have some moisture that is on the lid, but I don't have any. Well, the lid's really nice and clean now. I don't have anything that dripped over the sides though, which is good. So I'm going to wipe that real quick just to make sure everything looks good. Set that aside. Let's see what do we look like. So one of the things about this particular cleaner is that you don't, those are hot, that you don't have to rinse them. I don't know if you can see based on the light, this thing is shiny. I'm going to wipe it a couple spots, see if I can pick any grease up anywhere. There's a little bit right there maybe. This thing was pretty dirty when I stuck it in. That's pretty nice. Here's the safety. Again, it's clean, and we'll test this stuff out. We'll see if there's any damage that was done to any of the other parts that are in it. I mean, that looks almost like what these guys look like brand new when they're clean. Now, let's see what we got in here. So where it was closed, where it was actually trapped, you can see that there is some carbon there. Let's see if it wipes off. Yeah, totally wipes right off. I don't know how many bolt carriers you've done that are 22 long rifle, but that carbon gets deposited, and so it wipes right off. Not a big deal. Holy smokes. I have a 223 carrier, about 1,200 rounds on it from my rifle. This is the QPQ coated, and I have an ultra low mass, which is an aluminum that's coated, and we're going to stick those bad boys in, run them in the heater, and we'll see what happens when these guys come out. Okay, we're about 6 minutes left to go on the 223 bolt carrier groups. You can see that I've got some, yeah, I got some stuff. I mean, I got some black on the towel from taking the 22 bolt carrier group apart, but it was really just like in the crevices here and a little bit underneath the crevices right behind here. But otherwise, really surprised at how clean it is. Nothing was caked, everything wiped completely off. So that solvent in the ultrasonic definitely penetrated all the way through. I put the 22 carrier back together, lubed it up with the extreme gun oil, and I mean this thing is just like, actually it's smoother and cleaner than it was out of the box. So we'll come back in a minute and we'll pull out the 223 carriers and see what they look like. So it'll probably be a little bit easier to see. I mean, that guy looks pristine. So anyway, we'll pull them apart when they cool down a little bit. They're 180 degrees, so they'll burn my fingers. But we'll come back in a minute, or about maybe 15 minutes when they cool down. So next thing I'm going to try is I've got a bunch of chokes. That one's not too bad. It's only had about 30 or 40 rounds through it. This one, light mod, it's probably got a good 400 or 500 rounds through it, and you can, I don't know if you can see inside, but it's a little bit caked up. It's got some stuff inside there. Couple different kinds. Here's an IC, couple different kinds of shotguns, couple different kinds of chokes. But anyway, we're going to put these guys in, and we'll see how this how it does cleaning some chokes. And we may not go the full 30 minutes. We might do this one a little shorter. We'll see what happens. So it's, I mean, almost everything's come off. It's not caked on there. And I'm getting my towel pretty dirty. So there's obviously quite a bit of particulate in there that did not come off. But basically, I've got it down, just wiping it. That's a titanium, by the way. Wiping, I've got it down to pretty much clean. So underneath the extractor, it's always dirty. There's always brass shavings. It didn't obviously pull that stuff out and into solution, which I'm not terribly worried about. But really what I wanted to see is what the buffer looked like, the firing, or the extractor buffer, and it looks pretty good. I'm going to put this guy back together. I'll lube it, put it back together. We'll go put maybe 1,500, 1,600 rounds on it, and then maybe the next one I'll clean, having taken it apart before I put it in. Taking a bolt apart's really not that big a deal. But anyway, that's that one. Let me set it aside, and I'll put it back together after I finish cleaning it. But yeah, I mean, it took everything off, but it is still pretty dirty. This is a JP ultra low mass. It's also got about 1,200 to 1,300 rounds on it. It's got a titanium firing pin. And this guy actually has cleaned up quite a bit better than the other one. Frying pin retainer, a little bit of bend in it, not a big deal. And just like the other one, I've got a little bit of carbon that is still caked around the tail of the bolt. It really doesn't affect anything, but everything else, every place else, it's actually come loose. And let's see what we look like under here. Cleaner, but still, and there's some brass casings. You can see brass casing here. The donut looks okay. Inside the carrier, and this is a Barnes Precision machine, NIBX bolt, and looks pristine. So this guy, total, and kind of kill two birds with one stone. This guy, we've been running, it's got right at about 4,500 rounds on it now, running in my younger son, or my older son's match rifle. It's got a stretch 16 barrel, and we literally have just put the ultra low mass carrier in it, no adjustable gas, and you can see we just have a little bit, I mean, there's no notch here or anything. When I rub my finger over it, it's completely smooth. Just a little bit where the anodizing has worn off after 4,500 rounds. Inside the cam path looks pristine. I'm pretty impressed that this has gone 4,500 rounds and looks this good. So now that we're put these aside, I'll lube those later, put those aside. What I want to do now is we'll take a quick look at the chokes that we just cleaned for 30 minutes, and we'll see what they look like. So I'm going to get a new towel so you can see how dirty they are, or not are, depends. I think this guy here was the dirtiest. Again, they're 182 degrees or something like that. So I just took it out, didn't do anything else with it, and wiped it off. And you see there's just a little bit of residue right in here, just a little bit. Looking inside, they look smooth as glass. Let's go ahead and see if I can do this without burning myself. I'm going to put inside, let's wipe that around and see what it looks like when it comes out. So there's a little bit of residue in there, but I mean they are literally pristine on the inside. Dang, they're hot. Yeah, I mean it's taken everything out. There's no I don't know if you can see that. There's no wadding, there's no fouling, there's no lead, there's no nothing. I mean, they basically have cleaned them. Now, granted, I was in there for 30 minutes, but they've cleaned them out almost entirely. These are little guys. Remember that we had the Brownells one? And the Brownells label looks better than when we put it in there. Holy cow, I can read those really well. Let's see what they look like inside. As they're black, we can't really see. See if we get anything off of them. Just a little bit of, you can see right here, just a little bit. Impressed, very impressed. Okay, I'm back. We have put 14 bolt carrier groups through the cleaner over a period of time, and I've taken the time down to about 20 minutes, and I've come to the realization that it's probably best just to take the carrier apart to clean it. So when I do that, a couple of things. I do go ahead and just drop the carrier in. I'm not wiping them or cleaning them off or anything. I'm putting the cam pin in. And then when I put the bolt carrier in, what I'm doing is I'm taking a Cat 5 or the Cat 4 tool, and I'm actually going ahead and cleaning the carbon out of the back, which not a big deal, but you know, I get the big chunks out, you know, the big chunks of carbon that's built up, these big chunks that are in there. And then I'm also going in and I'm cleaning the tail just to get the big chunks off. So you can see this is the carbon that comes out. And then I'm going to go ahead and push the roll pin out. I'm going to leave the roll pin, the cotter pin, and then I'm going to pull my spring and buffer. So I'm not cleaning it, I'm not doing anything with it, I'm just, you can see it's a dirty carrier. This, again, somewhere between 1,000 and 1,200 rounds is what I've got on it. Like I said, I've maybe lost, 3 or 4 ounces that I've just replenished in the whole time that I've run this. So we'll put that back in, go ahead and get her started. We'll come back and let us see what it looks like when we take it out. Okay, we've just finished a 20-minute with a JP bolt carrier. And while I do that, I'm going to put, this is the bolt assembly from my Benelli M2. I shot it all of 2015, never took it out of the gun, never cleaned it. So I just pulled it out. I mean, I've wiped the outside and lubed it. So anyway, it's going in, and it's going to be in there for 20 minutes as well. So, what do we have on, again, another about 1,200 round bolt carrier group that sat in the cleaner for 20 minutes after the tail had been cleaned. It's looking pretty darn good. I just got a little bit, you can see here and here, I got a little bit off the tail that was black. The rest of this is just moisture. The cam pin, perfect. Little bit off the extractor, just a little bit. And on the carrier itself, keep forgetting these things are hot. It's clean. This thing is just downright clean. I'm getting just a little bit wiping it off, but not a lot. Most of that's just moisture. Let's see what we get in here. So I got a little bit in there. I mean, that's obviously black. I got that from inside. It's not catching. So I'm getting a little bit more out of there, but nothing is chunky. Nothing's catching. It's smooth. It feels smooth. So 20 minutes, just a little bit of a wipe. You know, the chunks are all off. The big chunks are off. Basically, this guy now is such that I could go lube it, put it back in, and we'd be ready to rock and roll. So I think we'll see what the next two come out, but I've been slowly cutting down the time and the temperature a little bit to see how stuff works, but I'm pretty happy with that. That guy's pretty good shape. Okay, folks, I've got the M2 bolt carrier is getting ready to come out of the Ultrasonic, and again, this is the bolt assembly that was in my match M2 for all of 2015. Probably 2,400 rounds, something like that, maybe 2,500. Never cleaned, just wiped off and lubed. So we'll see what this guy looks like. And as I'm doing this, I am putting in probably my last test. This is my custom built 1911, and I'm not sure if all the parts will fit in the basket or not. But yeah, I'm a little nervous. We'll see how it does. Can't get the whole thing in there, the whole frame in there, obviously. So we'll just do the top side. And that guy goes in for 20 minutes, and we'll check it sometime later and see how that works. So, Benelli bolt, you can see, I mean, that guy is pristine. I mean, you see the numbers on it. You know, it wipes clean. You know, there's a little bit, just a little bit. I mean, that guy is pristine. Perfectly clean. Spring, a little bit. I think I've basically proven to myself that if you strip the parts down to the major components and take them apart, then they do really well. You know, having them together, obviously, if the chunks are big enough and they can't all get out, that's going to cause some issues. But so I've wiped the whole guy down. There's a little bit of brown here, a little bit of brown here, but pretty good. We'll take the swab, we'll go inside and see how it looks inside here. So, yeah, there's a little bit, but not that big of a deal at all. So, anyway, I'll get this back together, we'll clean it. I'm probably not going to do this one again in the test because, hey, you don't have to clean Benelli bolts very often, so we probably won't see this one again. So I only did 20 minutes, and there's definitely still some grit and grime on it, but it all wipes off real easy. It looks like most of that's literally just suspended stuff. Inside the grip, it looks alright. Let's see what the slide looks like. So the slide cleaned up pretty nice. There's just a little bit, maybe right in there. There's a little bit in the hood, in the locking lugs there, but otherwise that looks pretty decent. The guide rod looks pretty clean. Barrel bushing. And that was pretty dirty. It wipes right off. Not a big deal. Let's see what the barrel looks like. Now this barrel was pretty dirty. It probably had been neglected a little bit. It had somewhere in the range of about 10,000 rounds through it and had not really even been cleaned. I didn't even clean the bore of this. before I stuck it in the ultrasonic. So we'll see what this looks like. I mean, it looks pretty good. So that's what came out of the bore. And, wow, yeah. Now the bore looks pristine. So overall, pretty good. Not sure if I do the frame again. You can see how the burnishing. I mean, this pistol has, this 1911's got quite a few rounds on it. It's about close to 18 years old. I mean, it's probably got close to 40,000 rounds through it. So it's obviously needed some cleaning.